What happens if you put actors like Adam Driver, Giancarlo Esposito, Shia LaBeouf, Lawrence Fishburne, Jason Schwartzman, Jon Voight, Talia Shire in a movie that's not good at all?
Let's talk about it. Hello there, Clapperheads, and welcome to a brand new edition of ClapperTalks. I'm Nick Dorian.
And I'm Kelvin Tay.
And as you heard in that little cold open, we're talking about a film that on paper, a whole bunch of stellar cast directed by an equally stellar filmmaker, Francis Ford Coppola, sounds like a recipe for success. Nope.
Imagine today's society as a branch of civilization about to reach a dead end. Is this way we're living the only one that's available to us?
I just want to preface it by saying that I did not finish the movie.
I'm proud of you for that.
It started off low and it went lower and lower. And I was like, I'm not the type that will walk out of the cinema.
Yeah.
But this is the first time, I think, in my life that I told myself, nope, I can't do this anymore. It's brain rot. It's worse than TikTok. I just cannot.
I'm a braver soul than you because I watched the entire thing. I pushed myself through this film, which is called Megalopolis, if you don't know by now. It has become infamous as possibly one of the worst films of Francis Ford Coppola's career, if not this year, dethroning Madam Web. I didn't think it would get worse than Madam Web and Joker, and somehow the genius this is, Coppola, managed to surprise us.
And if you're bad with names like I am, Coppola is known for Apocalypse Now, one of my favorite Vietnam War films, and
The Godfather. I mean, it just baffles my mind what he delivered with this film. Was it meant to be art? Was it meant to showcase a deeper meaning about humanity, or is it a Shakespearean drama? What is it?
You know how when you go to like art gallery, for example,
Yeah.
right, and you see art like Van Gogh, which makes sense, and then there's some more contemporary art, right, that you don't understand. You need time to absorb to kind of figure out the abstracts and everything.
Yeah,
I feel like this film is a abstract contemporary what the fuckness.
It's good that you mentioned that because a lot of people are saying, yes, right now it may look terrible, but what happens in about 10 years' time? This may be considered a masterpiece.
Yep.
Maybe it's just ahead of its time. I don't know. But right now, it's just a mess and it's very hard to understand what exactly is going on.
Yep.
Now, from what I can gather, as much as I can gather about the story, it's about Caesar, this sort of entrepreneur billionaire who has developed this new compound called Megalon. And he's planning to enrich Rome, New Rome,
basically New York, but
it's New Rome,
okay.
with Megalon to help the entire city and basically build this futuristic utopia. That is what I can gather from the story. Can you pull up a summary of the story? Like when you type in Megalopolis, Google comes up with the synopsis there.
Okay.
What does it say?
A conflict between Caesar, a genius artist who seeks to leap into a utopian idealistic future, and his opposition, Mayor Franklin Cicero, who remains committed to a regressive status quo, perpetuating greed, special interests, and partisan warfare. So it's politics, it's Rome 101.
Yeah.
Right? I'm trying my best to not come in, head on with like full negativity, but I can't. I see the reference of Rome, right?
Yes.
I see the politics, I see the actors, even the names of each character, right? We have Adam Driver playing Caesar character, Lena Giancarlo Esposito playing Mayor Cicero. There's so many reference to Rome as we know it.
Yes.
But what Megalopolis aims to be is still a huge question mark for me because I don't understand what. Maybe I'm just too stupid, Maybe I'm not the target audience.
That's why maybe this is something that art lovers may enjoy. This is something that maybe, again, like I said, a few years down the line, it may be considered a masterpiece. I don't know. it's just, I don't see what Coppola was going for.
Yeah.
Like, from the get-go, I'm like, okay, you're going for a very Shakespearean tone.
Yep.
Clearly, from the names like we said, the Caesar, Cicero, Claudio, Julia, like Juliet, there's a lot of Shakespearean influence. And not only that, Adam Driver launches into the famous to be or not to be speech, to which I was like, you're doing the whole thing. Is a political speech? Like,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
And you can tell that he was trying to create a modern Shakespearean tale. It's very obvious with the lavishness about it, the drama of it, the politics of it. It reads like a Shakespearean drama. The only problem is, I think it's down to two things.
Okay.
The visualization of the film and the acting choices of the actors. Those, to me, are the biggest pitfalls of this entire film.
My biggest pitfall when you speak about acting is definitely Audrey Plaza's character, Wow Platinum. Right?
Yes.
At the beginning of the film, right, she is just like a journalist trying to interview, right, things like that. I feel like it's disturbing. It unnecessary. It's really unnecessary. There's nothing. Again, maybe it's not the director's fault. Maybe I'm just too stupid. Maybe English is not my first language. I don't understand art.
No.
I don't understand drama. But what the hell is this?
I disagree with you because it's a majority vote that a lot of people went, the hell is this? And to be fair, it's 2 hours and, if I'm not mistaken, 20-something minutes of just baffling imagery. Like, I can sort of get behind the story. Okay, I get it. You've got a kind of story there. But you've got a bunch of fantastic actors.
A-star actors.
Oscar-winning actors, some of them. And they have been reduced to what I can only describe as a soap opera. This is it. This is Francis Ford Coppola's soap opera. That's what I will call it.
I can see that.
Because the acting is so over the top. It's so exaggerated. And you're like, how is this coming from these actors? Jon Voight especially, who is like this enormous actor in the industry and has been reduced to an old man playing a 20-something-year-old who feels young and dances about. And Lawrence Fishburne, reduced to just a bodyguard.
A butler, basically.
Who has a few lines and one insightful dialogue in the taxi, in the car. But apart from that, wasted.
Because in the beginning of the film, every new scene, you're like, oh shit, is this actor? Oh shit, is this actor, right?
Yeah. Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah, right. And more often than not, you're just sitting there. Why are they saying / acting so poorly?
Yes.
Because you know or have seen them in like fantastic films, right? Let's not discount Adam Driver, Giancarlo Zito, Shia LaBeouf, right? Jon Voight. Dude, again, like the list of the cast that I'm looking at, fantastic actors and actresses, people that we have seen so many times in Hollywood.
Yeah.
But what the hell is this?
That's where I boil it down to directing issues, because we know how well these people can act. So this was clearly a directive choice given to them by Coppola. And I'm like, why? It just doesn't fit. It may fit in something else, but it doesn't fit with this. If you had gone full Godfather with it, take the dramatics of it and amp it up and whatnot, you might have something. But this over-exaggeration, honestly, the acting in this makes Tommy Wiseau's films look like an Oscar-worthy film. You know who Tommy Wiseau is, right? I mean, it was borderline on that, especially with the CGI backgrounds and whatnot. The Room is a better watch than this.
I've never watched The Room before. I know it's one of those infamous, right now it's a cult film, right? Everyone loves to make fun of it, right? It's not a I'm laughing with you, I'm laughing at you kind of film, right? Let's talk about the writing, right?
Okay.
All right. There's this Reddit comment that I pulled up here, right? It says here, these are Copeland's film, right? I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse. Godfather, 1972. The horror apocalypse. Now, what do you think of this boner I got? Megalopolis,
Again,
2024,
John Voight.
right?
What do you think of this boner I got? It's an arrow.
and there's this scene in the very early part of the film where Adam Driver's character and Aubrey Plaza's character was like, "You're anal as hell, Caesar. I, on the other hand, am oral as hell." When I heard that line, I was looking at my friend Kush. I was like, "The fuck did he just what?"
I mean, my favorite line is still one that's become a meme at the moment, and it's when Adam Driver's sitting at the table and he goes like, "You go out to the club." I was like, the second that happened, I'm like, "What? Coppola,
what? Everything about this film was just delivered wrongly."
Yes. And if this was any other film not made by Coppola, I think it has the possibility of doing slightly better because the expectations are there already. We know what Coppola can do. He is one of the pillars of directing in Hollywood. Him, Spielberg, Kubrick, all of them are massively respected.
Yep.
And this just feels like it's out of left field. And that's why I'm baffled of, is there something that I'm not getting? Is there something that I'm not understanding? Because this is Coppola. There's no way he would make a film this disastrous. But now this is coming from a very personal aspect, but it does happen. Now, of course, with the death of his wife, Eleanor, who has been with him since the beginning, that obviously might have taken a toll on him and maybe skewed with his mind a bit. It does happen. Grief does things to a lot of people. And perhaps that's what happened with this. Like, he had all these grand ideas, all these grand scheme of things, but didn't have that pillar with him to rein him back a bit. And this is just Coppola unleashed.
Yep.
This was supposed to be his magnum opus, like his passion project. And it's like, ooh, maybe rail it in. Maybe not so much passion stuff anymore, please.
Just on the runtime that I watched alone, Megalopolis is what Rebel Moon is to sci-fi.
But at least Rebel Moon, you can sit through it and try and watch it.
Okay, fair enough. Rebel Moon, I only watched part 1 and that's all I could take. I watched from beginning to end. Wasn't it's just not a good film.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This one, Nick, when you like, hey, let's talk about this, film, and I was like, how bad can it be? How bad can it be? On Rotten Tomatoes, it is 46% critic score and also 35% for viewers. Okay. On IMDb, it's 5 out of 10. Usually, if it's a 5 out of 10 on IMDb, it's like, bearable.
Yeah.
Can tahan.
Yeah.
Not for me. Not for me. Like I say, I don't walk out of films very often or at all.
Yeah.
I don't alternate F4 from a streaming site because of a terrible film. But this one I actually did. And there are just too many misfit pieces throughout the film, may it be miscasting or like the writing or like the acting or like the storytelling or like the visuals, everything that you can point out, you can point out and be like, why was it done this way?
Yeah.
Right.
Now, moving on to the visualization of it, which is one of the major things I want to talk about, because first of all, when the film opened, I was like, oh, is this a Kubrick film? Or like, because it opened very Kubrick style instead of Coppola. And I'm like, okay, that should have been a warning sign for me of like, ooh, what's to come? And then it's just this massive onslaught of shoddy CGI. CGI background, CGI this, CGI that. I feel like the whole film was filmed on a soundstage and a green screen, except for maybe a few sequences here and there. But apart from that, everything was so painfully CGI. Like, it didn't disguise itself.
Yes, it's obvious CGI.
The colors were bright and vibrant, almost plastic, fake-like, and it overshadowed, if it's even possible, the performances that the actors were giving. Because I think one of the main scenes that I can think about right now is there's one sequence where Adam Driver's character and Caesar and Julia were traveling up this sort of elevator to get to the top floor.
Okay.
And I could just see the background going, this is so green screen. It is so incredibly green screened. And I'm like, okay, I get it. You wanted to use it, but you could have used more practical effects with this. And that whole concept, there are things that baffle me and left me without answers, especially, the megalon. It's clearly this chemical that you can see back in time or something. What we know about it is that it's this indestructible chemical which will help human life and whatnot. But at the same time, it's like, so it helps with everything. It can restore your body.
Yeah.
It can bring back memories from the past. Like, what is it? And then, I don't know if this was explained. I don't know whether you got to this point. But in the early stages of Cicero and Julia's romance, they were on the bed playing a bit.
No.
And then she takes this, what I can only describe as like a plastic ball with holes in it, and does some force shit with it. Like, she moves it with her hands like this up in the air. And I'm like, okay, so when did they become Jedi suddenly? Like, what is this? There's so much time of it being grounded in some sort of reality, and then it gets taken out of it with things like this. When did force push come into play? It's just, I wish I could say more positive things about this.
Me too.
I wish I could. But
I feel like they have put all the budget into like the actors itself, and they just ran out of like money for the script writers, so they just kind of chat GPT the entire thing.
But I mean, Coppola wrote this.
Oh, that's worse.
Yeah, he wrote and directed this.
Writer, director.
It's essentially everything is his. So that's why I'm like, sure, you could say ChatGPT, but I know Coppola wrote this.
Maybe he prompted.
He prompted ChatGPT.
Maybe, yeah.
Make a Francis Ford Coppola script about gold.
Yeah. Gold, sci-fi, time stop. What else? Enter. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Shakespearean. There we go.
No, seriously, Nick, like I would love to have a long conversation with you about this, but I feel like Megalopolis is one of those films where it's okay that we don't cover much of, because you try and sit down. You know, I lasted for about like what, half an hour to about 40 minutes until I told myself I really like Nick, I'm sorry. I know there is a certain standard when it comes to reviewing something, right? Like film, a game. But again, this is something that I just couldn't sit through.
Oh, you should have continued just to watch the performance of Adam Driver with red lights doing some weird ass dance or some seizure. I'm like, wait, what's going on? And then multiple Adam Drivers. Oh, let's not forget where he got shot as well, and delivers the best painful sequence I could ever imagine when he's covered up with the gauze and whatnot, and he's just yelling, no. I'm like, that's what I'm screaming internally at him.
Throughout the whole film, right?
No, make it stop. Please make it stop.
Why do you think that the director wanted to just push this out for what it is?
It's his passion project. I mean, they couldn't even find a distributor when it first premiered and whatnot. When it premiered, I think in the Venice Film Festival or Cannes, it still didn't have a distributor to basically put it out in cinemas. And I think that should have been a warning sign of like, why are distributors saying no to Coppola? Like, that just makes no sense. And now that I've seen it, I'm like, nah, it makes perfect sense. Because I don't know how you could market this film. I don't know who's it's for apart from Coppola himself, which is a massive shame because, like I said at the beginning, this is one of the greatest directors of our generation. And to see him put a film like this out is equal parts disappointing and sad. Like, he could do so much better than this. Sure, I did see some semblance of Godfather aspects to it, especially with the mob stuff and whatnot, with Shia LaBeouf's character in the bank and whatnot. I was like, oh, this is when he says, pick up my hat. I'm like, sorry, another weird ass line. Pick up my hat. Oh, pick up my hat. And then one bodyguard after another goes, pick up my hat, pick up my hat, pick up my hat. I'm like, we get it. Pick up the hat. But I can see that it could have been something great. But I don't think there was anyone to reel Coppola back into reality and deliver something that would possibly go down as one of the greatest films of all time. But instead, we got this.
What do you think of what do you think Coppola was thinking of when he was watching the film?
To be honest, I think he thought it was a masterpiece. Because, like I said, it's his passion project.
Magnum opus, as you put it.
And it took him like 6 months to do the final cut, which means he was really, really like deep into this. And he had final say on final cut. So this is all approved by him. Like, you have no one else to blame but Coppola himself, and that's the hardest pill to swallow. Like, you can't blame anyone else because this was entirely under Coppola's hand. From the directing, from the writing, from the final cut edit, everything. And there's actually a director's cut out there.
Oh.
There is a director's cut. I don't know how much longer it is. I don't know.
Maybe it's better?
I don't know. Because if I want to go back in time, I could make the argument Godfather Part 3, which was, it's the weakest in the Godfather films. But then Coppola finally managed to release his cut, which is the Coda cut, and it was 1,000,000 times better. Like, it is one of the, if not on par with the first Godfather, on par with the second Godfather.
Right, okay.
The Godfather Coda, that's the one you should watch. Disregard the third film, watch Coda, because that was his cut. With this, I'm like, even if there's a director's cut, I don't think it's going to be any better because unlike Godfather Part 3, this, like I said before, is all Coppola's doing. So
I would love to actually sit down with you to watch through the entire thing. If you're game to watch it through one more time.
I'm game to watch it just to see your reactions because it gets so much worse past possibly where you got. The ending, bro. The ending.
Really?
I'm not going to spoil it for anybody that wants to actually sit down and watch it, but that ending, this is all I'm going to say. Why? I think my closing remarks to all this is for a time, for a film that is so obsessed with time and stopping time, I wish that would have happened to me in real life when I was watching this.
That's a big say. That's a big say. The fact that you yourself cannot tahan the film.
I can. But I mean, I did better than I did with Borderlands. I walked out of Borderlands, so...
Funny enough, I actually watched the entire thing of Borderlands.
I think because I paid for a ticket and I was angry.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
If I would have paid a ticket to watch this, I would have been furious.
Okay.
I would have come out of the cinema going, I want my money back. But, like I said before, who knows? We'll come back to this in like a decade's time and maybe views might have changed.
Yeah, if we're still around.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Right.
So, on the clapper meter, up here. Now, Madam Web is all the way down here. Let me just remind you of that fact.
If Madam
it's somewhere
Web is
down
here.
I don't know whether our fingers will match, but it's somewhere there.
If Madam Web is here, where was Borderlands for you?
Borderlands was just 1 point below.
Okay.
Just a little bit below.
Where was Joker for you?
Oh, Joker would have been a little bit higher than Borderlands.
Like
17 above Madam Web.
Okay.
I did enjoy that more than Madam Web.
Okay, so it's like this. Where would Megalopolis be?
Yeah. I have no qualms about saying how bad this film is.
Okay.
I would give it a negative, like 2 out of 10 or something. Because I want to say positives, but again, like I said, bravo to him for making this film. But that's the only positive I can say. Like, man did his dues of making his passion project, and I can't fault a person for doing that and delivering something like this, but it's something that could have been left on the cutting room floor.
I would say I want to give this film another chance.
Yeah.
We have our year-end wrap-up for ClapperTalks planned out, right?
Yeah.
We're going to do it in about 2 weeks' time.
Yep.
I'm going to watch it again.
Okay.
Hopefully I can watch it with you.
Yes.
Okay? I want to give it another chance.
Okay.
And then at the year-end wrap-up where we will pick our favorite films of this year
Yeah.
and perhaps some of the worst films we have picked this year.
Yeah.
I want to talk a bit more about it.
Okay.
Okay?
So stay tuned for that. We're coming to revisit this. So if you haven't watched the film and you've been listening to this review, still go and watch the film. Just experience it at least once. Sorry. Experience it at least once. That's my advice. Because there are films that are so bad it's good. This is not one of them. This is so bad it's bad. But it still needs to be seen to be believed just how bad it is. That's what I'm going to leave you with.
Okay.
So if you want to follow us on our social media, you can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and of course YouTube. Go and follow and subscribe to those channels for more updates.
And for Renegade Radio, all things you need to know, go to www.renegadeplus.com.
Thank you so much again for listening and watching. I am Nick Dorian.
And I'm Kelvin Tay.
Keep watching the movies.